imagine for a moment that in a Democrat county, a really deep blue area, you are elected by the people to be the only Republican on the county board of commissioners. And during a meeting, you dare to criticize the local Democrat sheriff because of the way that inmates are being treated in the local jail. However, instead of hearing you out, letting you say your piece and voice your concerns, instead, you get arrested and sent to jail yourself. Now, if that sounds too dystopian to be happening right here in America, well, it's not, because that's exactly what happened to Miss Niki Frenchko. She's a county commissioner over in Trumbull County, Ohio. And about a year ago, this video right here went viral over on social media. The video was taken during a commissioners meeting back in July of 2022, and it shows Miss Frenchko getting arrested by two sheriff's deputies after she dared to speak critically about the local sheriff, Sheriff Paul Monroe. The deputies, they told Ms. Frenchko that she was disrupting the meeting. They removed her from the actual room and they placed her in handcuffs. Now, eventually, the charge against her was dismissed. But to Ms. Frenchko, that was simply not enough. Instead, in March of last year, in March of 2023, she filed a federal lawsuit arguing that her constitutional rights were violated. And after about a year of legal back and forth, well, the federal judge in the case ruled in Ms. Frenchko's favor, saying that indeed, this county commissioner's constitutional rights were violated when her Democrat colleagues had her arrested during a public meeting. As a part of his 81-page decision, here's what the judge wrote, quote, "Here in America, we do not arrest our political opponents. This case tests that long-standing norm, as well as our Constitution's robust protections for free speech that allow us to criticize our representatives and public officials. Plaintiff Niki Frenchko won election to the 3-member Board of County Commissioners of Trumbull County, Ohio. She was an outsider and the only member of county government from her political party. As a public official, she used her position to needle the incumbents and, in her view, hold them accountable for their decisions. For their part, they viewed her as ignorant of the basic workings of county government and a nuisance, to put it mildly." And when the judge writes here, a nuisance, to put it mildly, well, he's not kidding. In fact, we here at the Epoch Times, we were able to connect with Ms. Frenchko, and the story that she told us was absolutely shocking, because it turns out that this arrest was not an isolated incident. Instead, she claims that this was just the latest in a long line of harassment that she's endured at the hands of the other commissioners. And the specific ways that these other commissioners have been harassing her, well, frankly, it's just something that you really need to hear in order to believe. And so take a listen. Niki, thank you so much for joining us. So maybe let's set the stage for the audience. At the time of your election, you were the only member of the county government from the Republican Party. So can you sort of set the stage on how you ran to actually win the seat in such a Democrat and blue area?
Well, we hadn't had any elected officials countywide in decades, about 30, 40 years since we've had a Republican, and that was a Trump year. And everyone came out to support Trump, and I decided to take on the Democratic Party chairman, who has been an elected official since he was 18 years old and had no other experience except for being a politician. And I wanted to represent the people. I'm also qualified differently. You know, I have a master's degree in public administration, and I have experience that's more relevant to managing government. And I thought that we deserve to have representation from the Republican Party and someone who is competent.
And what can you describe what the role of a commissioner is to someone who might have never heard of it before?
Sure.
Like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
In Trumbull County, in the state of Ohio, we have 88 counties, and the statutory form of government is to have a board of commissioners, and that is 3 commissioners, and we oversee, we're the executive body. So we sign all the contracts. We are responsible for the appropriations, which is budgeting. We're the executive body. We deal in infrastructure. We have many departments under us, and that's what we do.
All right. So on July 7th of 2022, so basically a year and a half ago, there was a very viral video of you getting arrested during a meeting. Can you sort of walk us through what happened on that day?
Sure. We have a weekly meeting as a commissioner in order to conduct the county business and to pay the bills and everything that we have to do. I arrived at the meeting, and the meeting before, there were high-ranking sheriff's employees there. And I thought that was odd because I hadn't seen any safety services there in, I think, over a year. then that next meeting, which was the day that I was arrested, there were two deputies that I'd never seen in my life, because typically we didn't have any law enforcement in our meetings, no security or anything. The sheriff is a Democrat, by the way, and at this time, back when this happened, I was the only Republican elected in all of Trumbull County government. So at that meeting, we have an agenda, and pursuant to that agenda, we follow the order of everything that's on there, and we vote on things. And in the middle of the agenda, towards the end, the one elected official, the other commissioner, also a 40-year Democrat office holder, took a letter from the sheriff that he sent demanding an apology from me, a public apology, and gave it to the clerk in order to read. That was not on our agenda. It wasn't something that I believe should have been done, because it was right before we were about to go to another item, which related to an executive session for a matter. She read the letter. I tried to record what was going on, because I Facebook Live the meetings, because I believe in transparency, and that hasn't been there since until I got elected. So I was recording the meeting, and as I was recording the meeting, I tried to record the clerk reading this, which wasn't on the agenda, and he blocked my ability to record. So I went to the front of the room, and I recorded from the front of the room, and as she was reading some things that were factually incorrect, I would correct those things. And then afterwards, I took my seat in order to make a response. The commissioner said, "Are you going to apologize? Are you going to apologize or not?" That was Mr. Fuda. The other one, Mr. Cantalamesa, said, he criticized me. He said, you're not allowed to talk, or something to that effect, about the chief or the top law enforcement officer. And Commissioner Fuda called for Wicks, which was one of the officers by name, called him out by name to come up and arrest me. And then the other commissioner must have had some kind of exchange, and there was a thumbs up. This was orchestrated largely, obviously, by the top elected officials, who are all Democrats, and I believe that it was a scheme in order to silence me. So I know a lot of people are criticizing safety for what happened, but in an area that is so heavily political, if you don't follow the orders, they will try to fire you. And I've been saddened by some of the things that I've seen about our safety, when in fact I believe that those two deputies were taking marching orders from the Democratic establishment.
Do you think that the entire thing between the entire arrest between the government body and the sheriff's office, was it politically motivated?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, that's what the judge ruled in the first line of his opinion. It says, I can't see it with them. Here in America, we do not arrest our political opponents. That's the opening line in the judge's opinion. So it's not just that I believe that, the federal judge believes that as well. And we also, this is what's interesting about this, a lot of people don't realize, we won on summary judgment for the violation of my First and Fourth Amendment. Summary judgment means that the judge made that decision based on him reviewing all of the facts of the case. We make a motion for summary judgment. They make a motion in opposition. Then we give our response. And after he evaluated all of that evidence in both of those briefs, he made that decision as a matter of law. Meaning, if you read it, it says he believes that no juror would believe otherwise than what his decision was. And in addition to that, he also stripped them of their qualified immunity, which is huge. Which that means that the individuals who participated in the scheme will be responsible personally for financial damages associated with the punitive damages for their misconduct.
Are you planning to pursue any of those damages?
It's ongoing right now. If there's an appeal, we would be required, based on that court, to participate in mediation. I don't know what's going to happen, but no damages have been determined, and it's still ongoing. We won on those two huge claims summarily, which is unheard of.